Okay, excellent. So just start out just by saying your name, your age, and what street you grew up on.
My name is Carl Lovely. I'm 72 years old, and I grew up in East Hammond on Field Street.
Okay, so tell me, in your household, who was in your household? And you can say your mom and your dad, and who else you grew up with in that household.
Well, it was Mom, Dad, and 7 of us. It was 4 boys and 3 girls.
Okay, can you tell me what your dad and your mom did, and their names?
Yeah, Dad was Edwin S. Lovely. Dad worked at Inland Steel. And Mom, Julia May Lovely, she worked and retired from Montgomery Wards.
Oh, okay. So let's start with your dad. Now, I understand he came from Mississippi. What part of Mississippi did he come from?
Dad came from Starkville.
Starkville, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And did he come specifically to work there, or how did he get to Hammond? What was his impetus? How did he get there?
I think Bobby was from, for work. That Dad and him made the move from down there up here, or to Hammond, I should say.
Okay, so he specifically came to Hammond just looking for job opportunities.
I think so.
Okay. Now, did he meet his wife in Starkville, or did he meet her in Hammond?
St. Louis.
Oh, he met her in St. Louis.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So did he stop off in St. Louis first and live there and then came to Hammond, or how did that work?
That part I'd have to look it up, Bob, to be truthful with you. I'm not sure. I was trying to get the folder out on my desk here on the family tree.
Okay, but so basically, they ended up in Hammond, and Field Street was the first where they had their house on Field Street.
Yeah.
Okay, and now what did he do at Inland Steel? What was his job?
I think Dad started. He was a laborer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long did he work there?
Bobby, I
Not sure about that one?
No, that one I'm not sure of.
Okay. And so at the time that him and Julia Lovely was there, there was, did you say, was it 5, 6 kids? How many kids was it?
7.
7 kids. Okay. So with 7 kids, how was the household? Was it chaotic with 7 kids, or was everybody had their thing to do, and was it more a controlled environment, or was it a crazy environment with 7 kids?
We had a controlled environment. I mean, it was no iron-fisted control in the household. Everyone understood. Mom and Dad put rules, and we had to follow those rules. So there was no hard life, shall we say, because of the 7 children.
Okay. Now, can you remember? Now there's a Field Street still there, but it's changed a little or a lot. And at the time that you were growing up, do you remember your neighbors, like to the left and right and across the street? Do you remember anyone?
I think I'm looking. I think it was Mildred Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Was on one side of us, and I don't remember who was the other side. Mildred Smith was all I can remember there, Bob.
Okay. And now Julia was really heavy into church, and and I understand the church was close by. Where was the church located from your house?
It was what, a couple of blocks over from us.
Okay, and what was the name of that church?
St. John's.
St.
AME
John's.
Zion.
Okay, and what did her and Uncle Ed do at that church? What roles did they play?
Well, Mom was she was in the choir, and Dad he was kind of a jack of all trades. He was a deacon, wound up being a deacon, and Dad did a lot of maintenance around there for, in the church area.
Okay. Okay. So at the time, do you remember who the pastor was? Who was the head of the church?
Reverend Benford. I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Benford.
Benford. Okay.
Had two daughters.
And he had two daughters.
Yeah.
Okay. So and at the time was Kathy in the church singing at that time?
Well, yeah, Kitty grew up, we all grew up in the church. Yeah, Kitty she sang, yes.
Okay. So a lot of the church situations were just intertwined with the family in terms of what you guys did when you weren't at work. You were doing that?
Yeah, and of course, we were there, and then I moved, we scattered. Billy, the oldest, went into, he was in the Navy, so he was gone. And then the next, Hayward, was the next oldest, but Hayward passed away in early age. And then of course, there was Edwina, and she then moved to California. So that left Kitty, at home. Mike was at home. Well, he stayed home. Mike also worked at Inland Steel as well. And Wendy was the youngest, and of course she was at home. And I moved after the military to Gary.
Okay. So you were right after or right before Edwina? Where did you fit in the group?
I was after Edwina.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I was in the middle.
Right in the middle. Okay. Dad square in the middle. Okay. So tell me a little bit about the school you went to. Like when you were growing up on Field Street, what school did you go to? Like the elementary school, like K through 6. Where did you go?
We went to Maywood Elementary. That was over by close to the park. And the principal that time, Mr. Boone. I will never forget Mr. Boone.
Mr. Boone. Okay. Is that B-O-O-N?
B-O-O-N-E, Boone.
Okay. Like Daniel Boone. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what made Mr. Boone so special?
Well,
how do you remember?
Probably back then, the teachers and principals, they interacted with all of us. They knew our parents, and for the most part, they knew where we lived. And it's not like today, obviously.
Right. And so did you feel a sense of home with most of the elders? Like, they were saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Did you experience that type of thing? Did other parents come and kind of lead you down the right road should you get out of line?
In that community where we live, Bobby, unlike today, of course, we could be, I remember it was 3 of us buddies, and we would be, blocks away from home doing something we shouldn't be doing, and somebody opened the door and I'm going to tell your daddy, and man, everything, we straightened up and flied right. You thought we were angelic.
So who were your boys at the time? Who did you hang out with?
I had three: Ronnie Sims and Jerry Cook.
Ronnie Sims and Jerry Cook. Okay.
Yeah, Jerry Cook was a white fellow. Jerry lived down the street from me. He died. He was crushed to death in Inland Steel, and I just learned from Edwina here a few days ago that Ronnie Sims had passed away, which I did not know.
Okay. So those are your homeboys, so to
Yeah,
speak.
we were running buddies.
Okay. So what kinds of things did you and your homeboys do to pass the time? Like, were you a Brooks House person? Were you a Maywood Park person? Or what kind of things did you guys do?
Yeah, we did all of that. Brooks House, Maywood, the swimming thing, and getting in, and got in trouble. We one day we were big into building push carts back then, or go karts, I should say. And so Ronnie and Jerry and I started building our go kart, and we decided we needed a steering wheel and antenna. And it was a junkyard up on Summer Street and Columbia, I think is the street, cross street over there. So we went up there to get ourselves a steering wheel and an antenna for our go-kart. Now, I told him that I wanted, we were going to get whatever, if it was on the ground, we could get it. Well, it turns out that Jerry broke an antenna off of a car that was going out the next day.
Okay.
And man, the owner of the yard caught us. And of course he called the police.
Oh no.
Yeah, they took us down. Called mom, they called all our parents, and they had to come. Man, you talk about some talk about the fear of God. Yeah, we were all three of us sitting there crying our eyes out. One by one, the parents came in.
Man, okay. Did you ever get that?
The guy that owned the yard didn't want to have it. He wasn't pressing charge. He was just emphasizing, that there's something we shouldn't be doing. And he and the cop collaborated on that.
Okay. Did you ever get the go-kart made?
I didn't want to have nothing to do with that cart.
That was it. That was the fear of everything.
That was it. That go-kart could go as far as I was concerned.
Okay. And so after that, did you end up going to Hammond High or Hammond Tech, or where did you go?
I graduated Hammond High School.
Hammond High. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so what were some of the things that you were involved with in Hammond High?
I did sports. I ran track, a little basketball. But I was heavy into Red Cross work. In fact, it was because of that I, in my senior year in high school, was able to travel the country. I went to a conclave in D.C. It was they selected 12 students nationwide to comprise a advisory council, and through some way of measure, I was one of the 12 that they selected. So I went to D.C. with that and helped devise the candy stripers. And because of that, I went to St. Louis and was a part of the ceremony of breaking ground for the Ark. And
for the Ark, okay.
And then took here in Seattle, with the group, we took the first ride on the monorail and opened the Space Needle.
Okay, well, those are pretty monumental.
During the what do you call it? Can't even think of it now.
Well, those were
World's Fair.
pretty monumental things.
Yeah. It was pretty exciting.
Okay. And so was it like, you know how ROTC can lead you into the military from high school? What were you in high school in Hammond High, ROTC, that not ROTC but the Red Cross? What was there a club or something? A Red Cross club or something?
No, it was you know, they had, of course, they had a Red Cross in the city. And it was just strictly volunteering and doing a lot of voluntary stuff for them. That actually, you know, got me involved.
Okay. So was that like an internship?
No, it really wasn't. Like I said, it was just, you know, basically, you know, doing things to help the Red Cross accomplish what their goals were. And this conference came up under the guise of, he was a retired general, Arthur M. Gunther, who was then president of the American Red Cross. So it was under his tutelage that they came up with wanting to get youth across the country to come in and give advice and, you know, write some programs for the Red Cross, and that's how it all came about. And I was lucky, fortunate, whatever, to be one of the 12 kids selected across the country.
And it was because of your extracurricular activities that you brought notice to yourself. That's why you got it.
I guess so.
Okay. Excellent. And so in terms of high school as well, what were some of the other things that most of the other high school students were doing at the time? Was it a school that fed people after you got out, after your average person got out of high school? Would they go work at, say, Pullman Standard or Inland Steel, or what would most of the students be going, or to college?
Yeah, back then, you know, it was basically going to work. You know, obviously there were, you know, a number of kids that did leave, you know, and they graduated Hammond High. They went on to college early on, you know, by a venue of sports, you know, that kind of thing. You had, you know, Irv Cross, of course, most notably, who played football for Hammond High, and Irv went on to play professional football, as you know. And you know, it was basically that. You know, you had the Cross, you know, Irv, and then Raymond, who then, you know, became a principal, I understand, at Hammond High School, I believe. He was a principal at Hammond High School, or one of the schools back there. Now, recently, I don't know which one it is. But, yeah, you know, there were a few of us that went away. I was lucky enough to go away a little bit. But for the most part, you know, a lot of guys went to work.
Okay. Was there anybody at your high school who stood out or mentored you to help you along? Maybe a counselor, maybe a teacher, or is there anybody who stood out?
Well, yeah. You know, we had teachers that cared, I think. Bobby, you know, you get into the grade school and the high school area. There was a high school English teacher, I think, Miss Peterson, I remember. And there was also a music teacher. I was in music at the time as well, Miss Waterbury, who was, you know, very influential in terms of guidance and that kind of a thing. It isn't, you know, it was quite different, obviously, then than it is now.
Right.
Like I said, they took kind of a, you know, a special interest in the students. They were teachers, not business people. forced business people, I should say.
Right, right. No, I get you. In terms of just the makeup of the school at the time, what was the percentage? What years did you go to high school?
I graduated in 1962.
In 1962. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, was it what was the integration makeup, the demographics? Was it mainly black, or half white, half black, or some?
No. We had a little crow's nest, we called it. It was up at the top of the second landing at Hammond High School, where all the black folks got together, and you could fit us in the corner. So there was no mass amount of blacks at Hammond High.
Okay, it was just a handful.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah.
And I understand Edwina was the first cheerleader or something, or song girl cheerleader?
Yeah, she was.
Okay. And Kathy was, I understand she was the first, like pom-pom, was it? Or?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember breaking ground on any other first? Like I know Ronnie Rowe was the first black police officer. Do you remember any other first around that time? Like people who just broke ground and were the first.
I think again the most notable one I believe would be Irv Cross. In terms of breaking ground for notoriety and his, professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
His tenure at Northwestern, and then to enter the NFL with, I believe it was Philadelphia Eagles at the time, I think. So Irv was, that I can remember, was probably most notable of us all.
Okay, so he stood out. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and at the time that you were in high school, what was the racial society like? Was it in terms of did you experience any prejudice, or was it smooth sailing? I know
smooth sailing. No, we had prejudice, Bobby. It was different venues. It was quite noticeable. Others it was not, but you knew it was there, and you assessed which venue you were in and made yourself accordingly.
Okay. Is there any instances that stood out to you that you knew definitely that this was some injustice stuff happening?
Well, when I went away to school, but at home, it was just generalities, Bob. You couldn't really do, everything that you wanted to do or go everywhere you wanted to go without having to encounter some form of racism. But like I said, you recognized it, and you either succumbed to it or you kind of maneuvered them around and made it work for you.
I get you.
That's kind of what we did.
Okay, and so it's like where you guys used to live on Field Street is different from. I understood you could not live where Dracker Street, where they moved to.
No, couldn't go up that way, man.
That's on the other side of the park. It was reserved for other people, huh?
Yeah, you couldn't go up that way to live. No.
Okay. Okay. So, any special things about the park that you remember, Maywood Park?
Nothing other than that. It was just, it was a gathering place. It was a fun place for all of us. We played basketball. We swam. We did everything. That was, if you will, the nucleus of our energy, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And we enjoyed ourselves there, where we knew we couldn't go, other places. We went there and had maybe more fun than we would have had we gone anywhere else.
Okay.
We just did what we did.
Did what you did. Do what you do. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about downtown area? Did you guys end up going to the movies down there? Was it the Parthenon?
Paramount.
Paramount, right?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, we go to Paramount every now and then. Yeah, I worked in school, so I didn't do a whole lot of going out after school other than go to work. I went to work for Joe Hirsch, which was a clothing store downtown on State Street. I think, is it State Street? No. I don't know what the main street was in Hammond. Hoffman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were did your mom say anything about Goldblatt's and her experiences there that you remember?
No, Bobby, no. Not that I can remember.
Okay. And so downtown was a place that you went sometimes other than work, and then, you really didn't frequent that place too many times?
No.
Okay. And so did you guys really stay in that, that East Hammond, was it the Calumet to Columbia from 165th to maybe Highland? Is that the...
Yeah, that was the boundaries.
Those are the boundaries. That's your world.
Yeah, that was
okay.
It.
All right. So looking back, after you got a chance to see, after you left and you went off with the Red Cross, how did Hammond kind of expose you to the outside world, and did it prepare you properly with any, moral, ethical training and this, that, and the other? The stuff that you got from the people of Hammond. What did it do for you?
Bobby, it taught a lesson on survival. Black people had a strength, inner strength that, to this day still, the white man can't break, period.
Right.
And there are some of us who break our own, but, that strength that we had, black people are just strong, they're a strong race of people. So. So you've been through so many things until it's hard to show you some new stuff that would break you. You didn't show me nothing, man. My first year of college went away, essentially, to Missouri Valley College in Marshall, Missouri. And, after first year, I said, no, because I wind up getting killed or kill somebody, so I came home. It was just that bad there.
Oh, they were just testing you.
Yeah, Mom and Dad said, come on home. So I did. There were only two. When I was recruited to come there, first question out of Mom and Dad's mouth was, is the school integrated? And they said, yes, it was. Well, they didn't lie, but what they didn't say was they had only one other black that was going to go to the school. His name was Hiram Davis. And they recruited him for football, and Hiram and I were roommates, obviously.
Right.
And we had some times there. There were some trying times, but after the first year, we said no.
Did he leave as well? Did he leave the school as well?
Hiram did leave. I lost track up with Hiram, but I believe Hiram left. We encountered some problems downtown. We went to have dinner one evening, and go have a hamburger, let's put it that way. And walked into a restaurant, and the situation was we walked in, and Dean Amin and his family were sitting at a table to the left as we walked in, and of course we spoke, but there was no in-kind given. And I thought, well, that's kind of funny, but anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And so Hiram and I went in and sat down and sat. Finally, a waitress was able to get attention of a waitress. Said, can we order something? She said, what do you want? I didn't say nothing. I said, well, okay. So we both ordered and waited, and finally food came. She brought it back and dropped it on the table in 2 brown bags. I said, what is this? She said, you can't eat in here. I said, shit. So
oh, wow. Okay.
commenced to pull my food out of my bag and put it on the table. And next thing we knew, there was a cop behind each one of us. They hooked us up and drug us out. I said, no, this ain't going to work.
Right.
This ain't going to work at all. So we hung for the year, and the dean tried to, smooth things out. I said, I don't have nothing to do with you. You don't need to talk to me. You don't need to look at nothing. And actually, it all started before then, because when Hiram and I arrived, we arrived about the same time. And they gave us a dorm, and we, had our stuff, and we put in the room, whatever. And then we were going to go over to admissions because we didn't see anybody else, and the other blacks. So we were going, let's go over there and see, man. We came back, Bobby, and all our stuff was sitting on the sidewalk. I said, man, what the hell is this? And what it was the dorm mom didn't want us in her dorm. And so therein started the whole thing.
Oh, okay. And did the dorm mom get reprimanded for doing that by the dean?
I have no idea.
Oh, man. Well, I guess that's a rough start to
That was Education 101.
Oh, man. So were there many places that you went to try to sit down and eat that you had a problem with there?
No, we didn't leave campus anymore.
Oh, okay.
Nope. In fact, we didn't go to any of the, affairs on campus. We just didn't. No.
Okay. So it's the class and back to the dorm?
That was about it.
Okay. Well, that's one way to stay safe, though. And then also, I've often wondered about stuff like going to diners and restaurants and stuff, and they brought food, even eating that particular food, because who knows what they put in it, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And, right. And at that point, it was almost forced segregation because of Brown versus the Board of Education, so they had to, bring blacks in and stuff. And so I guess that's why they wanted to say that they were integrated with 2 people.
Yep.
So
at the time they talked to me, and Mom and Dad, said, come on down, we'd love to have you, and all that, yada, yada. We are integrated, and yeah, they were, because Hiram had signed to play football. So they didn't lie, they just didn't tell the whole story.
I get you.
So,
well, and so when you came back to Hammond, what did you do then after you came back after that incident?
Went to Indiana University, the Gary campus. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of African Americans there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember politically who were some of the movers and shakers that stood out that helped the people of East Hammond, the black people? Is there anybody who actually incited change?
In the city of Hammond?
You know, in the specifically the community, the East Hammond. Is there any like people in society or neighbors that were proactive, or neighborhood activists who incited some type of change from all this, from the things that were happening?
Well, Bob, they call it the Sophisticated Few Club. There was Mama, Miss Cherry, Aunt Leo, all of them, were in there, and they did, they made the differences as much as they could. Politically, I'm gonna tell you, I don't recall one standing out from a political standpoint in East Hammond.
Okay.
I just don't.
Okay, so basically but you remember the Sophisticated Few. Now, did they was it an official club, or
Yeah,
did they just?
It was all the women in East Hammond, and it was an official club, and we had picnics out at Wicker Park, in the 4th of July. We also, all the area, man, we waited for the 4th because we'd go out there and have a ball, man. Just have a picnic like you couldn't believe.
Okay.
But yeah, and they, they were the kind, for an example, like I said, if we were out being mischievous somewhere, and, one of them, there's no hesitation. They opened the door, you better straighten up, and that's what we did, So, and usually Mom and Dad knew about it before we got home.
Oh, yeah.
Because they called and said, I saw them and told them such and such and such and such. So when we got home, we got either talked to or we got backside educated.
Okay. Do you remember, besides Aunt Julia and Miss Cherry, any other people in that Sophisticated Few?
Yeah, Miss Hannah Mae, Cherry, who was it? Aunt Leo, it was Miss Perkins.
Okay, Miss Perkins.
There was, who else is in there? Miss Perkins, Miss Sadie Blackman.
Oh, Sadie Blackman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else was in there? Oh man, I'd have to think.
Okay. That's good. Well, I will. I mean, just the fact that you said the name of a Sophisticated Few. So when I ask other people, I'm going to ask them to elaborate on Sophisticated Few and some of the.
Yeah.
That. Was there a like Chicago had the Defender, which is a black newspaper. Did East Hammond have any kind of form of communication with everybody? Was there an internal newspaper or something besides the Hammond?
I don't think so, Bob. Not at that time.
Okay, it was just a word of mouth kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know if they devised something after that, or you're just not privy to that information?
I'm not privy to that. I don't think there was, but I can't say that with certainty.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of Hammond and Conkey Street, I understand that Conkey Street was the main thoroughfare there. And what's your recollection of Conkey Street, and did it stand out in any good or bad way?
Conkey Street, you know, when I think of Conkey Street, I think of Robert Blackman. Because Robert Blackman had a pool hall on Conkey Street, and he also had a barbecue place that he had opened up as well. But on Conkey, it's the pool room. That was the activity. Then it was like, you know, it was the barbershop and the pool room in that order. You know, and the barbershop was, what was his name? Mr.
Is that on the one on the corner, Jesse? Was Jesse there?
Well, Jesse was the second one. The one that cut my eye had, Mr. He was heavy set. Doggone it. I can't remember. Reno would remember his name, I'm sure. But you know, I used to hate to go to him, man, because you would tell him, you know, just a little bit here, a little bit here, and he had that stogie stuck in his mouth. And when you got through cutting, you look in the mirror and say, "What the hell?" I can't remember his name. And then Jesse came. He was on the corner there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you remember the taverns and all that kind of stuff? I heard it was rowdy there.
Yeah. I didn't get into him, but yeah, it was a little hectic down there.
Okay. Now, do you think that, as you know, urban renewal came in and redid all of Conkey and, you know, a couple other streets, and now houses, homes are there, like Field Street where the church was, St. John and all that's gone. What's your position on, like, the entrepreneurships when black people had businesses and you know, like the pool hall, there was all kinds of stuff there. There was the hotels and stuff like that. So, and when it was all taken away, I think that whole black business entrepreneurship left.
Yeah, it was gone. There was nothing there. There was very little chances of, you know, for us after that, Bobby. Urban renewal wasn't as such, I don't think, you know, to make things equitable for us from an entrepreneurial standpoint. And you know, like I said, you know, when they make a move like that, you know, it's not geared or centered for black folks, in my opinion. But you know, that's what we didn't own it, so we couldn't control it. You know.
Right.
I always said, if you don't own it, you can't control it.
That's true. That's true. And I understand that they were promised another area that black businessmen could reconstruct some of their businesses and stuff, but it appears that didn't happen.
Well, it would take money to do that, and they weren't going to give you any money to do that. Everybody back then, of course, you know, you had the SBA. Small Business Administration was started to actually quail, you know, the uprising in black folks. They don't give you something, you know, businesses and so on and so forth. But the problem with it was, Bobby, they gave you enough money to last a certain period of time with which to hang yourself, and that's what happened. I mean, they didn't give you capital enough to sustain and maintain a business to its level of profitability. They just gave you something to open up a business. Oh, see, and if you fail, well, what are you going to say? You know, it's my fault, I guess. Well, it wasn't your fault. You just didn't know from the very onset that you just weren't given a fair opportunity. That's like tests that were given. I was talking the other day with a gentleman about testing. You know, tests were geared for white folks, not black folks. That's why you didn't get what they got, the jobs and so forth. You know, you passed the test. Oh, take the test. Well, you didn't pass the test. You can't pass the test. You can't get the job. Yeah, but the test is unfair. Well, he took it and he passed it. Yeah, but it was geared for him, not me. So, you know, same thing.
No, that's the racial biased and standardized test. And that is a debate even today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Without question.
Right.
Without question.
Right. So it is still a disparity, even with the SBA in giving loans to. It appears that you could be from any other nationality. You could be from Cambodia or Vietnam or anywhere and get a loan before an African American can get a loan.
Listen, when I came home from Vietnam, shortly afterwards, of course, was the influx of Vietnamese coming over, and they were given loans to start businesses, and they were given that money, Bobby, where they did not have to make a return payment on that loan for a 10-year period.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true.
Man,
they didn't have to make one payment for 10 years, but they were given that loan to establish businesses. I don't know if you recall at the time Chrysler was going bad when Lee Iacocca went to Congress and asked Congress for a loan to keep Chrysler afloat. Do you recall that?
Yes, yes.
Part of that deal that was inclusive in Congress granting the loan to Chrysler was that Chrysler would give Vietnamese cars when they came here, and that's what they did.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just evidence of an unequal playing field when people, the starting line was a little bit moved up for them with cars and loans.
No, it was a little bit moved up. I can tell you when I started I had a janitorial business in Southern California, Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a contract with the SHS on food stamp, offices.
Right.
And I cleaned, I would go in and clean, there were two sections. And there was a locked door between the two sections. One was for us and, low-class white folks go in and get your food stamps. When I opened the door to go in and clean the other half, I said, where am I? It was carpeted. It had leather seats and things all around. That was where the Vietnamese people went in. That's gospel truth. That's gospel truth. Yes, sir.
Man, that's just a different world. And
yes, sir.
Oh yeah. So it's kind of it bleeds on your psyche to know that you get less than and expected to do more than.
You know what Garden Grove is, right?
Yes.
Have you been to Garden Grove?
I have not been there.
It's Saigon.
Oh,
they own it all.
Okay. So that will tell you something right there, and especially that I didn't know about you didn't have to pay the loan back for 10 years.
Oh man, they didn't have to pay those loans back for 10 years.
And there was a
former Prime Minister Nguyen Cao Ky, when the war ended there, he came over here, and in Huntington Harbor, they gave that man a mansion over there. They also gave his wife in, it wasn't Garden Grove, it was, hell to get old. They gave his wife her first liquor store. And it was in a black neighborhood. What does that tell you?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What does that tell you? And I had heard, I can't verify, but at that time, shortly after that, she and her husband also had gotten they opened 2 additional liquor stores. He was under contract with the federal government to tour the country at universities to talk about the Vietnam War.
Oh,
they paid him a pretty penny to do that.
So that's quite interesting, is that they had black people going over there fighting, and they came back home, and they still suffered racial prejudice. But the Vietnamese who they were fighting came over here, and they got an open arm with loans and all kinds of stuff. So,
you're exactly right, man.
Oh,
exactly
man.
Right. Yep.
So,
when I landed in San Francisco, coming home, I went to a little place because I was hungry. I wanted to get something to eat, Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Sat down and ordered my food, and the table next to me was this white man and his wife, I assume his wife, and he started mouthing off about Vietnam and, you know, what the hell are you guys doing, and you and you and you and you, and you know, I was ignoring him. And gospel truth, Bobby, he made the fatal mistake. He got so heated that he got up and came over and, you know, he tapped me on the shoulder. And at which point I whipped his ass. Simple as that. And the manager of the restaurant there asked him to leave.
Okay.
But that's how it was when I got home. Gospel truth.
Okay. Man. Well, at least the manager of that restaurant had a sane mind to know who the troublemaker was.
Yeah.
And just didn't look at color.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Boy.
But it was you know, as far as returning from there, I mean, I didn't mean to get off into the war thing, but when you talked about businesses and black businesses in East Hammond, I mean, we did, you know, that opportunity wasn't availed to us. So when you didn't make it, not only in East Hammond, but anywhere else, they gave, you know, loans to black people to go into business. When you didn't make it, you just, you know, you didn't make it. That's all. You just didn't have enough equity. You didn't have, not equity, you didn't have enough capital to get you to a point where you could possibly make it in business. That was my assessment.
And so that was just a sign of the times racially, in terms of just that hidden agenda that was that thing that you couldn't put your finger on. You think it was just made for us not to succeed?
Well, it was made for us, Bobby, to quail uprisings of blacks across the country. That's what the SBA initially, you know, came about under Richard Nixon.
Uh-huh.
You know, let's give them something to quail them, and, you know, let's quiet them down. But let's not give them enough to where they are successful. That's what happened.
Right. And in terms of your, I understand that a lot of people did not get housing, loans for housing because of maybe racial injustice and this, that, and the other. And really, in terms of personal wealth, that your home is the number one on your portfolio of things that you own that identifies your personal wealth. But if you couldn't get a loan for the house, then they would give it to our, you know, I guess the white counterparts faster than they would give it to the black people, then that would curtail your personal wealth.
That exists still today, Bobby. You know, not
and
only still, you know, loans for homes, loans for cars. What was it, a few years ago, Mitsubishi?
Uh-huh.
Were you aware of that one?
No. What happened with Mitsubishi?
Mitsubishi got caught with their pants down, man. They were raping black folks on interest rates on the automobiles. When the study was done, all that were, black people who had the equivalent credit score as the white counterpart were paying a much higher percentage rate on automobile loans, and Mitsubishi got caught, and they were fined. That was a few years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was
that was just a few years
ago, man. And it's still today.
Right, right. Well,
look at what happened with the 2008 with the housing debacle. They gave black folks houses, because they knew they wouldn't be able to keep them, but they made money on them by packaging the loans and selling them overseas, and that's what they did. Black folks had, I got a big house out here, but you can't make the payment. How the hell are you going to keep the house?
Right, but at that point, the lenders didn't care because they sold the loan. It's somebody else's problem.
That was devised, Bob.
Oh yeah.
That was a devised plan. They made trillions, and they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yes. Well, and that whole thing with the redlining, and sometimes things in the black neighborhoods cost a little bit more than white neighborhoods, and so your dollar would not go as far.
True.
In black. What'd you say?
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So, well, all in all, in terms of Hammond, lastly, I just wanted to ask: are there anything in Hammond that you can remember growing up and coming back, going away, coming back, that kind of made you have the mindset and the successfulness that you have now? Is there anything that you can remember that you pulled away in terms of your psyche, your moral, ethical fiber, anything that made you who you are? What in Hammond gave you that?
Well, first off, it was Mom and Dad. That was first off. And then it was family. You leave, your mom, Robbie LaVere. Robbie and LaVere would tap you on the shoulder too. Us on the shoulder too. Everybody took, Bobby, I think, a little more concern about the next person. They weren't in and unto themselves, as it seems to be today. But that's an old man talking, Young people may have a different perspective, but their perspective isn't one that they can draw on from the past because they weren't there.
Right, right. But the end result is the same. If you look at, not the same, but the end result of the older generation is there's that camaraderie, there's that sense of almost everybody is everybody's mother and father because they help raise you, kind of thing.
Yeah, there was respect among each other. I remember, you talk about Conkey Street, Bobby? I remember, Mom and them and we'd be on Conkey Street playing around, and Mom and them would be coming down the street, and Doodaddle and who was the other one over there? They'd be drunk as a skunk. But man, the minute they saw Miss Sadie, Mama, or Miss Hannah May, or any of them, look, they were as sober could be. You know what I mean? They were that way. And then when Mom and all, or whoever it was went on by, they were drunk as a skunk. But
man, that's
respect.
power.
Huh?
I said, yeah, that's power and respect that they had.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got my share of spankings from Aunt Julia too. So it's
yeah. It's that's how it was. That's how it was.
Yeah, so. and I think the whole, because at one point, you just knew that you had to go to church every Sunday, and that's where you got your learning and your morals and this, that, and the other, and even when you messed up in church. I remember eating candy in church, and Aunt Julia come up behind me and grab my ear.
Yeah, boy. And they act up. She said behind it that thumped my ear. That's why my ears are big today.
You grab those ears, boy.
Mm-hmm. Or they cut a look at you and you knew.
Oh yeah. No, the look was more fearful than the pain of the ear, because the look meant something was going to happen later.
Look, I used to tiptoe when they get ready to go to bed, and they hadn't said nothing. I'd say, oh man, I made it. And turn the light out, we get in the bed, made it. And that light come on, there's Daddy. I said, oh man, here it is.
You know what? That must have been pervasive in the family, because my mom would do the same thing. She would wait. I thought I got away with whatever it was, but she would go the extra mile. She would have you take a bath first, so your skin is nice and soft.
Oh yeah, pores open, ready to receive.
Oh, ready to. And you tried to like diffuse it by saying, "Oh, I love you. I know you love me. You're gonna love me more after I get done."
Yeah, and I love you. That's why I'm getting ready to do to you what I'm gonna do. I can remember, man, trying to look. The sophisticated few, and the husbands and wives, they would have this party. And I've forgotten the hall that they would have it at in East Hammond. I forgot the hall. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they would have this party, Bob. And Mama would fix us, chicken and all kind of nibbling stuff for us to eat. And we could stay up until midnight, but then we had to go to bed. And of course, Bill was there, at the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time when they had this party and they went. Edwina and I got into a fight. And she kicked me and I kicked her. Anyway, when Mom and Dad and them came home, all hell broke loose. And Daddy was going to get us one by one, starting with the oldest and younger. And he got down to coming to get me. I took off.
Uh-oh. I
was running a little dumb self. I took off, ran to the bathroom, closed the door, and locked it, and stayed in there. And I thought, at one while, Billy tried to, he said, I got to go to the bathroom. So I eased the door, and he started to grab me. I pushed Billy back out, closed and locked it. Bobby, I stayed in that bath. I went to sleep. I woke up, and I'm listening at the door, and I'm figuring, everybody sleeps, so okay, I could ease on out there and go get in the bed. I opened the door, and he stepped out, and there was Daddy.
He waited you out.
Oh, my Lord. I never will forget that, Bobby.
Man. Well, they'll get you sooner or later.
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh yeah. So,
yeah.
Well,
everybody, the young folks respected the older ones, and the older ones took concern in what you were doing, how you were doing it, and if you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing, they had the concern enough to correct you.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're the people actually we are today, because of that. And I can righteously say I never got a whooping I didn't deserve.
And you and me both. You and me both, Bob.
Well, Carl, I really want to thank you for talking to me and just taking me back. And because we're relatives too, it resonated a little bit more with me, because I remember all what you said. So, except for when you were a little boy, because I wasn't even born then. But but yeah, no, it just brought back memories, and I think that when you know, you are a great-great-grandfather and somebody wants to research this and go to the library, there's going to be stuff there to research. You know, when new Hammond high schoolers want to research the East Hammond, or the blacks who actually started or pioneered some things in East Hammond, now there's going to be stuff to look at and find, as opposed to just nothing there. So, and you helped this process along, and I thank you for that.
I appreciate it. I don't know how helpful it was, but first off, it was good talking to you, first off.
Oh, yeah.
It's been many years, but it was sure nice talking to you.
Oh, and I definitely, and I talked with Ursula earlier about her book stuff, and I just told her to put everything on a Word file, and the first thing she's got to do is copyright that material, and then we'll work from there. And I told her how to do it, and if she has any questions, and I'm glad Scotty, you know, put a fire under her to get that going, because it's important. Because I said all of her ideas and creativity and all that needs to be documented and put in a book, so 60 years from now somebody else can look at that and say, well, hey, this is some good stuff here. So it's important.
Yep, I've been telling her that. So
okay. Well, all right.
I will light a fire there, Bobby. Trust me.
Excellent, excellent. And once again, if you guys need some direction and assistance, I've copyrighted, I've written a ton of stuff, so it's all good.
Good,
so,
good. Appreciate it.
I'll shut this off.
Okay.